Good morning, traders. Edge with high-tech trading analysis. This morning I want to introduce you to a concept you might or might not have thought of before, and that is diagonal support and resistance, supply and demand, whatever terminology you want to use. Most everybody's familiar with the concept of supply and demand, support and resistance. We draw areas at structured highs and structured lows, and when price comes back into that area, we fade off that area with pretty tight stops and looking for a little more aggressive. That's just the basic concept behind that. Now, that's all pretty much based off of horizontal zones. Okay, but what if we wanted to look at this a different way? We can see from our chart with the data that's currently loaded on our chart, we can see that price goes from the upper left to the bottom right. Well, based on what we're looking at now, that's basic principles of a downtrend. Upper left to bottom right. Let's try to draw and define this a little more precisely. So let's take our trend tool. Let's look to the very far left. Let's look at the highest open or close that we have on the far left. So I come to this area right here and I click my button, and now I'm going to go to the right, and I'm going to try to encompass as many wicks of as many bars as I possibly can without, I'm going to start here, and I'm going to try to go this way and capture as many wicks on as many bars as I possibly can without an open or a close being above my line. Now, I'm going to keep going right now. That's almost perfect, man. I'm grabbing every one of those wicks on all of those bars, and nothing's closing above, right? Now, I keep going, and oops, got one below it, but let's try here. Okay, that's looking good. I'm able to capture that wick, everything below to the left, and I'm still not missing a close. If I keep going to the right with that same concept, I want to look here, I want to look here, I want to kind of get between here. I'm never going to get them all. You're always going to have one, maybe two that you're going to have to, and maybe more that you're going to have to look at. Price isn't going to come back to our line and stop, right? That's why we're trying to draw a zone, to get a better idea of the area that price might come back to. So we're trying to capture as many wicks as we can going up, and that looks pretty good. I'm going to left click there. Now all I'm going to do is I'm going to come back up here to the left, and I'm going to come back up to our highest high on the left hand side, and hopefully maybe got to go a little higher than that high, or maybe that's right on that high. Hopefully we encompass all of the highs of those wicks that we didn't grab with our trend line going down. Now on the way up, instead of this one line that I happen to be looking at, I'm looking at a pretty prominent zone on the downside that price doesn't seem to like to go above. Okay, now how did we get this? This is our trend channel drawing tool, default NinjaTrader trend channel drawing tool. If I double click on this, I come into the properties of this tool. Now there's a couple things that we want to note. The basic look of what you're looking at right now consists of three things. By default, you define the area color in between our trend and parallel lines. We define the opacity. And I say trend and parallel lines because if we scroll down, we have a trend line, we have a parallel line. Our trend line is the first line that we draw, and then our parallel line is the second line we draw. And we have the ability to color and style them any way you want. Now, we do have price levels down here. If we click on the price levels, you'll notice that as I click through each one of these, this little visibility checkbox is unchecked, and that's why you're not seeing any of those price levels on the chart as it sits. Now, I can go back in, and I've got a way that I can actually quickly and easily turn them on and off, which is why I have this set up like that. But now if I go into my templates and I save this as my default template, because none of these are shown, this is the way that it's set up, this would be the standard normal way that the tool would be drawn. It's a pretty simple concept, I think. Something you might or might not have thought about. Let me know. All right, guys and girls, hey, please be safe in this crazy world.